When we're saying it, it sounds simple, but when you're in it, it's not that simple.
Till you realize
Till
what's
you
going
get
on.
there. It's like something.
And once you identify the patterns,
Yeah.
and you know this is a lose-lose situation, just walk out. Or if you are staying in it, understand and accept that it's never going to be a give and take relationship. Your needs are never going to be met.
Thanks to Sana Skin Studio for supporting the No podcast. Sana is a skin studio that is shifting the relationship with your skin and your products through goal-driven facials, real guidance, and clean skincare. Stay tuned for our promo code so you can receive $25 off of your first facial at Sana Skin Studio.
Welcome to the No Podcast with me, Nikki Spo. What is up, fam? You are listening to The No with me, Nikki Spoelstra. I am so glad that you're here as we are on a continuous journey of finding and celebrating our deepest sense of inner knowing. Today, I'm welcoming back Dr. Rachna Buxani Mirpuri, who we have heard from a few times now on the topic of narcissism. If you aren't already subscribed to The No, you can go ahead and click that subscribe button because I do happen to want your downloads. It's good for everybody. It's good for me. It's good for you. So please click that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. So this is part 3 of a multi-part series in which Dr. Rachna and I are discussing the topic of narcissism. I'm really honored to have the opportunity to chat with an expert like her. And today we are going to be answering some of the spicy Q&As that have been sent in after our first 2 initial episodes. So I'm really excited to get started. Let's jump right in. Dr. Rachna, welcome back.
Thank you, Nikki. I love the setup. I'm so glad we're doing this the way we are.
Me too. We're evolving, and
Yes.
you've been a person who's like really encouraged me to really step into that space and take the next step for my business. And so it's really nice to have women in our lives, I think, who are just like continuously pushing us to be better and think outside the box and take the next steps, because it's really easy, I think, to get stagnant and kind of just stay where we're comfortable.
Absolutely. And listen, I think the videos were phenomenal. I think this is a whole different level. So I am sure that, for the number of people that you've already helped, I think this is just going to be phenomenally more, just because of that warmth that you're sharing with your speakers.
Thank you. So we have a bunch of Q&As. I mean, I think I got north of 20 altogether, and I had to sift through all of the questions regarding narcissism. Some of the things, y'all come through with these questions asking, really personal things about my life and my personal business that I'm not really ready to share with you. So I had to, delete some of the questions, but we're going to get to a lot of the questions. But something that I think is a safe landing spot is, how do narcissists react to divorce?
Not good.
No, well.
If 2 words, not good. So when we think about, what we've spoken about, right? What we know about people who have narcissistic personality styles, the entitlement, the control, the, in divorce especially, we see a lot of, I'm going to talk against you to the children, using the children as pawns. We see the narcissist maligning the spouse even to outsiders, so that basically the person is left with zero support, right? So no, it's not a very, and especially if the divorce was not initiated by the narcissist, right? Because in that case, remember, it's still a personality that does not like to feel rejected or abandoned. So at that point, if the divorce is not initiated by the narcissist, he or she is not going to take it very well and really going to be antagonistic towards their partner. And so for that partner, it's very important to have a good support system, to have a good therapist, to understand what is going on. Because not everybody who's divorcing a narcissist knows that the person is narcissistic, right?
True.
So all these patterns are playing out without the person even knowing what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's important, and I feel that the therapist, because of the psychoeducation piece, right? So that they can help you understand what is going on and kind of be that support through what is going to be a really emotionally trying time.
So for people who are in therapy, like from what we've talked about, it's already hard to get a narcissist to therapy based on some of the things that you've said before?
Does not happen.
It doesn't happen. You don't see them just like walking into the therapist's office.
No.
On their own.
No. Well, okay. Some exceptions. We see them coming in sometimes as part of a couple, right? So if the partner is threatening that, okay, listen, you know what, I've reached my last straw. Either we do this or I'm out. You might see them come in at that point. Or something's not working out in their life, or they've got some other, commodity issues, right? So it could be they've got substance abuse issues or something else that will bring them in. Here's the problem, though. They don't stay. So 60% of the people with narcissistic personality styles drop out of therapy very, very soon. So you don't get enough people staying in therapy to make any kind of change.
How do you even break it to a narcissist that they're a narcissist? Can you do that?
No, please don't. Do not.
No, but like even as a therapist, like if you're with somebody, you don't.
We don't do it. There's no point.
Can't do
because
it.
at that point, the relationship as you know it is over. Listen, they're not going to accept that, this is what's going on with me. They can't change, Nikki. So let me explain this to you. If me as a person, I'm an introvert. Okay. And I would say I'm an agreeable introvert. I'm more, I'm like, no matter how tired I am or, when I go to work and if my team needs me or if I'm there.
Yeah.
Right? So this is me. And this has always been me. If I can't change, how am I expecting that person who's been that way all their life to suddenly say, oh yeah, no, I'm not going to. And especially, they have a more rigid personality than say you and I do, right? So, I'm an introvert. Okay, I can still push myself and do
Step
things.
outside of your comfort zone.
Exactly.
Go to the party, put the smile on your face.
Exactly.
Right?
I may come back and then need 2 days of detox
Sure.
from the party, but I'll do it, right?
Yeah.
Because we don't have rigid personality traits. They do. So it's very hard for them to change. And we don't see that.
And so you can't, so if you're treating somebody with narcissistic personality traits, you cannot tell them.
No.
So how do you treat them?
So what we do, what I have done.
Because you specialize in this.
I specialize in victims of narcissistic abuse,
Okay.
right? So
Fair enough.
Because here's the problem. Like I said, you can't really specialize in narcissistic individuals because they don't stay long enough
To be studied.
to be treated.
Or to be treated.
Right? So you're almost always fighting a losing battle there. The few that I have had, they don't last very long. The minute you try to question it, right? So for instance, I had a client who came in. She actually said she had borderline personality disorder. And I, was very careful about labeling. She did not. When I actually did a personality assessment with her, found out, only me, I found out that no, she is a vulnerable narcissist. I never told her, Nikki. There was no point. And once I started, asking from her to be empathetic or to change in any which way, other than the role that she was playing, which was the victim, that everybody else is bad and poor me, that's when she stopped coming. So you don't
When you
see
asked
a
her
lot
to
of,
just try to see it.
to try to be empathetic, not even to try to not do the poor me thing, because that's just her, but she came in really disturbed. I mean, she has adult children who obviously were absorbing all of this.
Yeah.
She knew her relationships were, being destroyed, but she couldn't for the life of her change.
That is really, really difficult. That's like a difficult space to be in. So if you don't know that that you are suffering from, well, I guess, it's in a way counterintuitive, right? It's like, you don't know, but it's like the ignorance is sort of bliss because in your world, it's a righteous worldview.
And it doesn't really hurt them as much as it
hurts
hurts the people
other
around
people.
them, right? So
Right.
think about it, and we spoke about this. a lot of narcissistic characteristics are actually reinforced by society. They're
That's true.
successful people.
Right. Lots of successful people.
You know, you see the CEOs of companies, you see the celebrities, you see the sportsmen, you see the actors and actresses. Like, a lot of them have narcissistic personality styles, but they do very well for themselves.
Well, because a part of it is like that their belief in themselves, right, has gotten them so far as it is.
So here's the thing though. No.
Where's the self-confidence part?
There isn't. Oh. So here's the thing. So remember, narcissism is bred in insecurity.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. I'm going to wait till that response. So it's not a person who's self-confident. Nikki, you and I are people who are self-confident. A narcissist, that's not the space that he's coming from. And I keep saying he because there's just, more
Why?
men. Well, more men have been diagnosed with...
Statistically, really?
Statistically, absolutely.
Okay.
With the grandiose narcissist.
Okay.
Okay? The vulnerable narcissism, more women.
Okay.
Okay? But the grandiose narcissist, yes, more men. So that's why it's an automatic he, but that doesn't mean it's only men.
Right. And so just to pause, like in case you're wondering what is a grandiose narcissist and what is a vulnerable narcissist, that's the first episode that Dr. Rachna and I did. We covered like the different types of narcissists. So it's definitely worth a refresher. But so what I'm hearing you say is that more men statistically are when they are diagnosed with some type of narcissistic personality traits, it is on the side of the grandiose narcissist. Whereas women, when they are diagnosed, it's more towards the side of the vulnerable narcissist.
Correct.
Okay.
And we are seeing vulnerable narcissism a lot more now. Then the research that was done actually found that grandiose narcissism actually stayed where it was, where it's always been. Vulnerable narcissism kind of grew, and I'm sure social media had a part to play in that.
Right. Well, we talked
because the poor me when I'm seeing everybody else doing so well.
Sure.
So that bred a little bit of that. But yes, I mean, narcissism inherently comes from insecurity. Insecurity brings shame.
Oh my gosh, the shame cycle. I mean, Brene Brown talks about that a lot.
And the shame takes the form of rage. So what happens is...
Yes. Insecurity, shame, rage. Okay.
Can I explain this?
Yeah,
in a really
please.
gross way.
Yeah.
So, I have a mentor. And when she explained it in this way, I had a really good laugh. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that really explains it. So I'm going to steal it from her.
Okay.
And so what she said is, have you ever had like really bad diarrhea? Really, really bad diarrhea.
Yeah.
Okay. And now you're at an airport.
Oh gosh.
And now here it comes. And you need the bathroom. At that point, you're really not being nice to anyone. You're just like, get out of my way.
Right.
I need to get to the bathroom. That's that, because what's going to happen if that happens is you're going to feel shame. So to not feel that shame, you need to get to the bathroom. All right? Now think about the narcissist who, for some reason, is in a situation where he or she feels shame. She or he is going to do whatever it takes and,
Haul ass.
Absolutely, because they don't want to feel that shame. So that rage really comes from the shame that they feel. And that could be a perceived shame. So I'm going to work and I don't know, I don't have a very good day. Maybe, I don't feel very good because maybe a client is not doing well. Mm-hmm. Okay, then I internalize that. That's shameful for me. Guess what I'm doing when I'm coming home? I'm raging. Whoever's around, I'm raging at them. So that's usually your spouse, your kids.
That's really sad.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it happens all the time.
All the time.
But not everybody's a narcissist.
No.
Right.
No.
So there's just assholes out there.
So if a person is actually raging in this manner over and over and over again, and it's a pattern,
Yeah.
then I would say the person has a narcissistic personality style. Look, there's a difference between NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, and narcissistic personality style. We don't get enough narcissists to diagnose, right? So it's hard for unless somebody comes in and there's a clinical diagnosis. And, okay, but then those people are not coming in.
Right.
So
they're not coming in and they're not staying.
Right. And then thus not getting a diagnosis. but they still have the narcissistic personality
Right.
style.
So they're still operating in the world as such.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely. And, every time you look at research, that number is increasing. Again, the latest of what, when the mentor was researching, was 20%.
So how is it measured then? If we aren't seeing them come in,
Yeah,
how are we measuring it? Through victim stories?
correct.
Okay.
Well, through that, but also just because we don't see them in clinical settings, that doesn't mean, because if you take the same thing and go and measure the level of narcissism in a prison system, right?
Okay.
Or so those different settings have found, or an inpatient clinic, you will find those numbers increase.
Okay.
Right?
Right,
So
sure.
that's how we know that, well, there's many more than we are accounting for in, like, say, private practice.
So somebody has written in and they've said, Nikki, have you ever experienced narcissism in a friend and how have you handled that? I personally have not, to my knowledge, experienced narcissism in a friend. Not that I was actually reflecting on it the other day. I was like, I don't think I have experienced it in like a platonic friendship.
Yeah, lovely. And you
But-
are
but
lucky
it
because they're out
happens.
there. Absolutely.
And what does that look like? And how do you handle it?
If you really want to continue being friends with this person.
Right. There's that. It begs the question, why do you want to keep being friends with them?
Right. Because there's no way to have a healthy relationship. I think that was another question. So I'm going to blend the two questions.
Absolutely.
But there's no way to have a healthy relationship with a narcissist.
Like there's no boundaries you can set. You can, no.
Well, you can set it. They don't care.
Right.
So the boundaries you're setting is for yourself. It's not like they are going to
Interesting.
respond, right?
Interesting.
To those boundaries.
Yes.
So, for instance,
I think that's so important to differentiate.
right. And if as a friendship, it's a give and take.
Yes.
Okay, but you're never going to get. You're never going to get in that relationship. You're only going to give, right? So your needs are never going to be met. You're never going to be able to be, have that integrity of personality for yourself. Like, who are you? And be that person in that relationship. It's really, really very hard. And that's any sort of narcissistic relationship. So that could be, parent-child relationship. That could be, romantic relationship. And that could be a friendship. So really, I would say just run. Because I don't think you're going to get anything out of this friendship. In fact, if anything, you're going to have to give away parts of yourself to just be in this relationship.
Well, and then it comes back again. It circles back to like, then what is it that you're longing for, right? I think it takes a lot of self-reflection to say, well, what is it that I'm really longing for in my friendships in general, right? Like what gives my life meaning? What gives my life purpose? What makes me feel happy and fulfilled out of my interpersonal relationships? Because like, it's all fun and games to be like, well, I'm just going to cut people off. Like I remember being in a phase of my life where I was just like, cut, 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 but like you ultimately don't want to end up alone.
Sure.
Either. So what am I longing for? What am I craving? What gives me fulfillment out of my interpersonal relationships? Because interpersonal relationships are part of life. Like there's almost no way around them.
Absolutely.
Especially like, I mean, in any capacity, right? Whether that's friendships or romantic relationships or like external family members or in work environments, which there was a question in here about like,
the narcissistic boss.
The narcissistic boss.
We must talk about
Yeah,
the
we have to talk
narcissistic
about it. So
boss.
like, what can you do? Like, are you quitting your job? Like, what's happening?
So,
And the self-boundaries, I want to talk more about that
Yeah.
too. So we have a lot to talk about.
you want to tackle the narcissistic boss, or you want to finish the boundary?
Well, the
conversation?
boundaries. Let's do boundaries because I think that like with friendships is really important. And I think it's really great. I think we should touch on what you said about the boundary is really for yourself rather than them. It's not saying, okay, you can't cross this line. It's really saying like, I'm only going to allow myself
Absolutely.
to come up to here with this
Absolutely.
person.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. Because for
They'll
them,
cross it.
Right. And for them, it doesn't even exist.
It doesn't exist.
Yes, they are way above those boundaries. No, that doesn't exist. So really those boundaries you're setting is for yourself to determine, okay, how much of me am I ready to give in this relationship, right?
Right.
And yes, look, Nikki, there are people in relationships, and we spoke about this, and more people than not in romantic relationships actually end up staying for several reasons. Sometimes you have children together, sometimes, financial needs, so many reasons, cultural, reasons why, oh my gosh, but I can't get a divorce because, I'm going to be out of my whole community. So there are reasons why people stay. Friendships are out of choice. So I feel like if you really, unless you're really getting something out of this, and I'm not sure what that is, but there better be a good reason for you to put yourself through that to be a part of this friendship.
I mean, there's all kinds of dysfunction, right? I'm hearing you say this and I'm like, and I feel like we've talked about this before, but it's like when there's a dysfunctional system, everything functions properly within the broken system,
Correct.
Right? The cogs move.
Correct.
Right? And then you have one person who might peel off and do the healing, and now all of a sudden the cogs don't fit together because
Correct.
there's this one person
Correct.
who is changing the anatomy of the cogs.
Correct.
So it can't work anymore.
It cannot work. And in the long term, it's not going to work anyway. So
That's
whether
true.
it is a friendship or whether it is that boss situation that, we'll get to, it's not going to work, Nikki. These relationships are extremely detrimental. And I know we are doing an episode on the family. And I'm so glad because really, it's important to understand just how much of you have to not exist to be a part of these relationships. Wow. You just have to be able to give yourself up and say, okay, so to maintain any sort of self in a relationship like that, it doesn't work.
It's kind of poisonous.
Yes, toxic.
Super.
Yeah.
And so what do we do then when we are faced with those relationships in the workplace? Like when you have a narcissistic boss?
One piece of advice.
Because you do need something from that, right? Like you need to make a living.
Yes. So what I would say, and I actually have a client who I'm working with on this. So the first thing is documentation. And listen, go into every job just thinking it's going to be bad. So please document from day one. Just save all the emails, save anything that, if your boss is texting you and something that's ugly or texting you at weird hours or whatever it is, please document everything. Because at some point, it's going to get to a point you're going to go to HR and they're not going to do anything because you can't prove. Given that, remember, we spoke about this, last time, they're very charismatic. They don't show, the narcissists do not show that rage and wrath to everybody, right? So everybody else is thinking, really? That guy?
That guy?
No, he's
that
so
girl?
cool.
Right.
Yes,
oh my gosh,
right?
yes.
So you want to be able to document everything. You want to be able to quietly look for another job.
Yeah.
Because if they know that you're looking for another job, you're in a lot of trouble.
Right.
So if you can very quietly look for another job and get out of there. Because, and so this client of mine who I'm talking about, the harassment was so bad, Nikki, that her husband actually got a lawyer involved. And, they, again, document, because you have to be able to prove, no matter if in a court of law or to an HR person that, look, this is not okay.
Well, and I'm going to speak from the female perspective because I happen to be a female, but like, as far as women's intuition is concerned, I'm like, there's been so many times in my life where I'm like, something's off.
Yeah.
Something's not right. This doesn't feel right. But like, as women, we're kind of brought up to be like quiet and tolerant and don't make a big fuss. Like, don't.
Yeah. Go along with it.
Just go along with
Yes.
it. It's fine. It's especially if it's a female male boss relationship.
Correct. And there's like, don't
type
be a
situation.
drama queen.
Right. Don't be a drama queen.
Yes.
You're in the workforce. So you
Yes.
got to
Yes.
fight. It's a dog eat dog world. You got to fight to hold your position, and there have been times where I'm like, no, something's wrong. Something's not right here. Something's not right here. And I didn't document it, right? Like, and I didn't do it because I'm like, no, I second guess myself. I'm like, no, that's not true. I'm making that up. I must have made it up.
Yeah. And therein lies the issue. Because
Right.
here's the
Absolutely.
thing. When I doubt myself, that's why I'm not documenting. And that makes sense. Only how do I ever then get to that point where I'm proving it? Because listen, it is going to get worse. It starts little by little by little by little. And then if that narcissist, if that boss sees you as a threat in any way, that's going to get ugly. And it can get ugly really fast.
All right, guys, let's take a quick break so I can thank our sponsor, Sana Skin Studio, with their OG location in Wynwood and their additional locations in Fort Lauderdale and Coconut Grove. Okay, so the best way I can describe Sana is that it feels like coming home. Unlike traditional facials, Sana's facials are rooted in education, and I love this so much. Every experience I have had at Sana has been a chance for me to learn more about my skin and its needs. I love that the facials are effective while also being accessible enough to be a monthly ritual rather than a yearly splurge. This is why the Sana membership is so great. I'm honored to be able to provide our audience with a promo code. Use the code TheNoGlow for $25 off of your first facial when booking at sanaskinstudio.com. and additional incentives if you book a membership. I have absolutely loved my skin healing journey with Sana Skin Studio.
And remember the passive aggressive nature of narcissism, the silent treatment, you're being skipped for a promotion. Or like in a meeting, the boss is talking to everybody and handing out projects to everybody, but you're the one who's not getting a project, or you're getting.
And are you imagining that? Like, oh, maybe they just
Right.
forgot.
Right.
Maybe they just missed me.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely. So if there's one really piece of advice that I could give, please document everything that happens, because like I said, there is going to come a point that you are going to want to do something about this, or you're going to have to do something about it because things have gotten so bad and you're not going to have any proof whatsoever. And then
It's word against word.
Yes, exactly. If you don't have documentation, absolutely.
Right.
Then
And
it's
then
your
there's
word
also,
against.
and then we're also dealing with a power dynamic struggle too.
Exactly.
Right.
There's more people who are going to believe them, him, her, then they're going to, because to the world, remember.
They're the likable person. They
Exactly.
present as such the
Exactly.
good guy, girl, whatever.
Yes.
They're so likable, so
Yes.
charming.
Absolutely.
I often think about the word charming because I used to not have such a negative response to it.
Oh my gosh. You should see me. I actually run.
With the word charming, I'm like,
If I'm at a party and if I see a charming person, I'm running the other way.
I'm like, that is a fraud 101. That's like fraudulent 101.
Listen,
I'm like,
you know what?
so charming.
And when I've done this now for long enough, it scares me and creeps me out
Right?
when I see that kind of intoxicating charm. I'm running.
Totally.
Yeah.
We don't like Prince Charmings either.
No.
Prince Charming is an illusion.
Absolutely. I think the more we take care of ourselves, the less we are dependent on somebody else
Yeah.
to save us, to rescue us, for that identity. No, I think we can have Princess Charming. And we're good with that.
So, okay, up next. So we've talked about friends. What about like the victimization? So, because I feel like that falls into the category of
Yeah.
vulnerable.
Yes.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, right.
I'm
We're not right. We're not like, yay,
Yeah.
narcissists. No,
No, but
you're
I-
cheering for me that I got it right.
Yes.
Oh, and
I'm
actually,
so
no.
glad we're talking about it again,
Okay,
because
victimizing.
really it is growing. And we do need to understand vulnerable narcissism, because that's where people really often get mistaken, because what we're looking for is that charming, grandiose, larger than
Right.
life person. And then these are not like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So going back to my client, every time she would come, it was like, I can't do this because,
Oh my God.
the world of work that I have is dominated by men, and so I can't really grow. And so it was always, I am so good. If only the world understood that, right? So when we see that victimhood, so if I had to, 3 points to keep in mind when we are around a vulnerable narcissist, so we're trying to sniff them out, right? First, a person who has a constant chronic grudge. Oh my gosh, look at the traffic in Miami. Everybody's just moved here. They've made it such a
I mean, I don't like that. I'm very
Yes.
vocal about that, just so you know.
the traffic.
Yeah. This is all the people who
But
moved
wait,
here. I'm like,
wait.
no.
No, and here's again what happens is because then you take that one part and you're like, but I do that.
I know, I
Okay,
know.
But wait. But then there's
Right, but there's
2
more
and
parts.
3.
Right,
Right.
right.
Right. So the second part is that suspicion of other people's intent. You are doing it because you want to bother me. You just, you cut me off on the street.
It's personal.
It's personal, right? Like you are out there. They are so close to paranoia, but still not, right? But they are always suspicious about other people's intentions. And the final thing is that victimhood. But the way this victimhood comes across is because they set these really high goals for themselves. They really do nothing about it. Nothing. They won't even, oh my gosh, I want to paint this room. Okay, but I haven't even got the paint. But now I'm blaming the world for me not being able to paint that. But see, it was such a good idea. But, the world did not let me, be grand in my idea. Or it could be, Nikki, you know what? You've got this podcast going. I wanted to get the podcast going, but you had it so easy because, so they're almost putting you down in an attempt to put themselves or make themselves feel that, yeah, but I'm the victim. Because see, I never had it that easy. You just got everything so easy.
It's so hard. I have a very low tolerance for those people. I'm trying to work on my tolerance in general, Dr. Rachna.
Yeah.
Like I'm trying to be like more tolerant of just people, right?
Yeah.
I think like it's a good quality to have while still maintaining my own boundaries.
Right. But we don't need to tolerate this.
We don't need to tolerate that.
No. And listen, I can understand it. I don't have to accept
That's
it.
right. That's so right.
Right? Because I can understand that, listen, you know what, because we know that narcissism, like I told you, it breeds in insecurity. We understand that. So obviously you are either coming from one of two paths. One is that, you've had some traumatic childhood experience, or you were just a spoiled kid. You see, so, where your parents, and we'll talk more about this when we talk about the family stuff, but your parents really made you feel so special, like you're more special than anybody else, right? So, but either way, so I can understand that, hey, maybe you didn't choose to be like that, but I don't have to accept your behavior. Your behavior is very antagonistic. Right. It's very entitled. It's very arrogant. It's very selfish.
Okay, so someone wrote in, they want to know, how do you deal with narcissists who body shame you?
I want to ask them, why are they tolerating that narcissist in their life, right? What makes you keep going on in that relationship?
Okay, so this is like a big thing. It's like really what I'm hearing just like repeated by you is that people really need to get clear on what they're longing for, what they're looking for, what do they want?
Yes. And part of it is...
And why are we seeking it? I'm sorry. Why are we seeking it from somebody who's incapable of providing it for us?
Correct.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy almost of like, I'm looking for this and I'll never get it. So, and I know that I won't get it here, but this keeps me in a state of like...
trauma bondedness?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Exactly.
Yeah. Of course. Here's the thing. For people... So remember, I told you, I work with victims of narcissistic abuse. Okay. What do we work on? First, radical acceptance. They are not going to change. Those patterns, the love bombing, devaluing, discard, that's a pattern. It's not going to change. It's never going to change, Nikki. So that's point number one, right? That we work on, that acceptance, not of the person, but really of that pattern, of the situation, of the abusive situation that you're in. That's not going to change. And secondly, work towards individuation, which is what you're talking about. And part of that is taking care of yourself. Self-reflecting, healing from your own traumas that's keeping you in relationships like that. Because why else are you seeking this out? It's unless, like I said, if you are with a partner, I know people who I have some of my clients who are staying in those relationships, but I get it. Some for financial reasons, some because, oh my gosh, but I like the custody will be 50-50. I don't want my children to go to this crazy person. So, I'm just going to stay. People stay for all kinds of reasons.
All kinds of reasons. That's true.
And at that point, you obviously work on the radical acceptance. You work on, building of self. But when it comes to friends, when it comes to situations that you can potentially walk out of, please do. Because
It seems that simple.
Yeah, it's
but it's
not going to
hard.
change.
It's not that simple. Like, it's simple. And I used to, in the program of recovery, it's like a simple program for complicated people, right? Like, we're all complex and complicated to some extent, right?
course.
So when we're saying it, it sounds simple, but when you're in it, it's not that simple.
It isn't till you realize
Till
what's
you
going
get
on.
there. It's like something.
And once you identify the patterns,
Yeah.
and you know this is a lose-lose situation, if it's a friend, just walk out. Because, or if you are staying in it, understand and accept that it's never going to be a give and take relationship. Your needs are never going to be met.
Right.
If you're okay with that, I would suggest also seeking a good therapist out to figure out what's going on there.
Yeah. Okay, so I have two more questions
Okay.
that are worth hitting on. So we have, what is it like to co-parent with a narcissist? Is it ever fully about the kids?
It's very challenging to co-parent with a narcissist. I have 2 of my clients currently who are doing that. Well, because you're always wondering, and in both cases, they are triangulating. So the narcissistic partner is triangulating the kids. So the kids are with them, they malign the other spouse, they're talking bad, they're using the children. So it's really not easy. But here's the thing, and this is what I tell my clients, that you are the only one who's going to be bringing and teaching empathy to your kids. And you have no choice but to take the high road in this. Because you cannot do what the other partner is doing.
You have to take the high road.
You have to take the high road, and you have to be that teacher of empathy to the children. And hopefully they'll see through the narcissistic parent.
I think empathy is just such an important quality to teach and demonstrate to your children. And I think a lot of it, just based on what I've learned in being a mom myself, and I'm sure you have as well, but just like when you show empathy to your children, you're modeling it for them in real time. Like, because it's one thing to be able to say to your kids, oh, you should have empathy, and I'm going to teach you what this word is. And it's when you care about other people, you're able to like feel what other people are feeling. It's another thing entirely when we demonstrate empathy for our children. And I think that, at least from a parenting standpoint, a lot of parents parent from a place of ego.
Yeah.
And so we don't want to be wrong, and we want to say this is our rule and this is what the rule is. And, and I have found so much success. I have found a lot more success in honoring where my kids are without enabling their behaviors, their unfavorable behaviors.
Absolutely.
Right. And being like, I really understand that you want the toy that your brother just took from you. Right. And that's not fun.
Yeah.
I understand you're so upset right now. You still can't bite him.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
How does and we went through this situation recently where one of my sons hit the other one for who knows what. And I remember thinking, would you do that to your little sister? Like, how would that feel? How would you feel if somebody else did that to your sister? How would you, just like posing questions to them?
Right.
Now that they're a little bit older and they can understand things, but like really taking the time to teach it and also model the behavior.
Absolutely. And helping them understand that no one can control feelings, right? Emotions are what they are. It's the behavior.
Right.
Just because I feel sad or that I feel upset, I don't need to hit. Right? So the problem is not feeling sad, because we all do as humans, right?
Oh my gosh.
So
yes.
we're not pathological, because you see, I think we have gone the other way now of almost pathologizing sadness, anxiety. Okay, but we all feel that. Right. I mean, show me one person who's never felt fear in their life. They don't exist. So instead of doing that, how about we accept that, listen, emotions are what they are. I don't have to behave that way.
Right.
Even though I feel. Which is exactly what we're talking about here. Because think about it. When you look at the narcissist, we understand that insecurity is a problem, right?
Right.
Okay, but you can feel insecure. You feel insecure, Nikki. I feel insecure
all
so
the time.
many times.
Right.
we're not going around and stripping another person of their identity, of their integrity, of, just because I feel insecure. And that therein lies, an explanation of narcissism. What they do is they act upon that. So the sooner I can teach my children that it's okay to feel, but you don't have to act.
Right. The better off we'll be.
Absolutely.
So then if you're co-parenting with somebody,
you have to take the higher road. And you have to be that model for your kids.
Yeah, and
because what they're getting from the other end is not good.
And I want to be clear, because I know that I don't want this to get twisted around. Like, I'm not talking about my personal situation. We are talking about things in a general way.
Of course.
Right?
And
so
I guess it was one of your questions, right?
Yeah, no.
Yes.
Like, people literally submit these questions.
Yes.
Nikki, I'm going through something. How do I co-parent with a narcissist? Is it ever fully about the kids? And so we are answering these questions. And then the last one that I have, and I feel like we've answered it, but I need us to just kind of go through it. Like, is there any conversation or action a person can take to get a narcissist to apologize? And I have issues with the question in itself, because why do we want the apology from a narcissist, right? What are we, again, it comes back to what are we seeking?
No, but it's closure, right? So think about a person.
I didn't think about it that way.
Because, okay, if you have been hurt.
Wow, I didn't think about it that way. The closure part.
Because
okay.
Listen, when somebody's wronged you, when somebody does not, if you have been in a romantic relationship with a narcissist, or you have a friend who's a narcissist, and you've either walked out of the relationship or you've confronted them, what we're seeking for is, hey, can you validate? Can you just understand that what you did was not okay?
Right.
The problem is they don't understand what they did was not okay. So there's really no scenario in which they are apologizing unless they need something from you, at which point they'll give you the sun and moon. Okay. For a narcissist, I am this glass of water. Till I need this glass of water, I'll do whatever you want because I need the glass of water. Once I'm done, I'm putting the glass of water away. I'm never looking at it again. So in this period, maybe if the narcissist needs you enough, they may even apologize. Is it coming from a place of, hey, I truly understand what I did and here I am making amends? No.
So then how do you think that people who are dealing with narcissists, or they do need some sense of closure, how do you think they can go about getting that closure?
By building themselves.
Okay.
They are not going to get it from the narcissist. You do have to build your sense of self to be able to get that closure and build an understanding. Look, which is one of the reasons I've always told you, Nikki, I am so glad you're doing this, because the more people understand this, the less they're going to expect these things.
Right.
That doesn't mean it's not going to hurt.
I really appreciate you saying that.
One of my clients, she came in the other day and she is still married to a narcissist, and she said, and she's been with me for some time. So of course we've done the psychoeducation and we've done the radical
intellectually
acceptance.
She gets it.
So she comes because then he had a rage moment and she says, Rachna, he raged at me. And over here, I know what's happening. I know the pattern. Why am I still crying? I said, because you're human. Yeah. You are human. Just because I understand that, okay, yes, this is a pattern, it doesn't feel good.
It doesn't feel good.
No. At the end of the day, you're still being violated. Doesn't feel good. So I am going to hurt about it, but I'm going to recover from it sooner because I'll be able to tell myself, okay, this is a pattern. And then you get to a point like some of us who are like, ooh, let's count how many times you're going to devalue me in this conversation. I've actually done that with one of my clients, my narcissistic client. I'm like, let's see how many times. And then I would almost tell myself, okay, if she hits 5, I'm going to get myself like an ice cream. Because there's no way around not getting hurt about this stuff. So we find our ways
to cope.
Now, did I need to cope with the client of mine? Not really. If it got antagonistic, I would have left it. But at some point, it was just funny. The number of times she would devalue me in a session.
as a client
Yeah.
and you are his or her
Absolutely.
therapist.
Oh my gosh, Nikki, she would say things like, from the time we've started, I'm only getting worse. My relationships are getting worse. And I'm thinking, and still you keep showing up every week. What's that about? But of course, I couldn't call her out.
Right.
Right?
I'm like speechless on that. Like, I can't believe somebody.
Oh, yes. So, and like I said, having done this for a long time, you really do create that wall and that
barrier.
distance. But even then, that doesn't mean that it's not upsetting when somebody talks to you. And I'm a therapist, so I'm not going to go around telling you that hey, you know what? But at some point, you're just not going to feel. No, you're always going to feel, and that's what makes us human. And it's okay to feel.
Well, I think also then part of it, what I'm hearing from you, and it comes back to like the boundary setting for yourself, is to also learn enough about who you are and what you want, that you're able to see the things that you don't want, narcissist or not,
Right.
and be like, that, you know what, that isn't something that sits well for me. And I have enough self-worth and self-value and self-love to walk away from it and not have the need to like put myself in an environment where I always feel like I'm saying, pick me.
Right.
Choose me.
So it's the second part. It's the latter part that people have get stuck with or have a problem with, right? So the first part, I think, a lot of us have that intuition.
Yeah.
When, we feel uncomfortable. Sometimes we feel physically uncomfortable, but we know that, this is not okay. It's the courage to get up and walk out of it.
It's not easy.
Yes. And that's where people find themselves almost like gaslighting themselves.
That's right.
Because if you've been in a relationship long enough that you've been gaslit, you become very masterful at gaslighting yourself.
Oh my gosh. And then like compound if you were gaslit as a child, right? Or you had a traumatic childhood. And so you have no sense of trust with your intuition, your sense of intuition. Like I grew up, I've been open about this. Like I grew up feeling that way. Like I grew up thinking that like I was lying to myself and my reality wasn't what it was, right? And I'm like, no, I know something's wrong here. Like I know that something is not right in my childhood, right?
Yeah.
But you grow up being like, no, this is totally normal. This is totally normal. And so what happens is like I learn how to not trust myself. And so then I become an adult who might be high functioning, but deep down, I don't trust myself.
Absolutely. And that's why we're going to when we do this piece on the family roles and the children of narcissistic parents and how it impacts them. Because I really wanted to do that piece with you, Nikki, because you're right. That carries through.
Absolutely.
And, so we're going to talk about not only those roles as in, in childhood, but what does that look like later in life, right?
I can't wait.
What are these people doing when they grow up? So, yes, and that's what I want. I want your listeners to be able to hear that and, reflect.
Awesome. Well, we are going to stop there today. I'm excited for you guys to hear next week's episode or the next episode in which we do discuss the family roles when there is a narcissist in a family unit. And I appreciate everybody sending in their questions. There were a ton of questions. We didn't get to every single one of them, but I feel like the ones that we did get to they knocked some of the other questions out. You know what I mean? So you answered a lot of questions within these questions that we had. So I'm really grateful and I can't wait for our next chat.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
This podcast was brought to you by Sana Skin Studio. Be sure to use my code, TheNoGlow, for $25 off of your first facial at Sana when booking via sanaskinstudio.com. More than a skin studio, Sana is a movement towards healthier skin and self-love. Thank you so much for listening to The Know. If you loved this episode, go ahead and share it with a friend. Words are so powerful, and someone may need to hear what we covered today. And if you really loved this episode, please take a moment to rate the show and leave a review. Your comments are so important and valued, and they give other listeners insight on what to expect on The Know. You can connect with me personally via Instagram at Nikki Spo and The Know with Nikki Spo. My hope for you today is that you are fearless in looking inward so that you can be your highest, most authentic self and go after the life of your dreams.